Welcome to the Chicagoland Guide. I'm your host, Aaron Masliansky. Today, I am up in Waukegan with Jennifer Yonan. Jennifer is the Executive Director of the Youth Conservation Corps. We just had a great tour and really looking forward to this conversation. Jennifer, thank you for hosting me here today.
Well, thanks, Aaron. We appreciate you being here.
Yeah, it's very eye-opening for me to see all the different types of things that you do. And we got to meet each other last week at the Lake County Housing Summit. And that was really interesting being in that room. It was run by CMAP. Just all the different stakeholders there talking about housing and the issues that we have with not enough housing, not enough affordable housing. And we happen to be sitting next to each other. And what you're doing is part of the solution. And I love being able to talk to people who are not just talking the talk, but walking the walk. So tell us a little bit about what you do here at the Youth Conservation Corps.
So I was really pleased to be part of the Housing Summit because we want to be seen as a housing partner in Lake County. Youth Conservation Corps, or YCC as we're known, is our agency's name. And one of the programs we run under the YCC umbrella is called YouthBuild. And we're known in the YouthBuild world as YouthBuild Waukegan. There are over 285 YouthBuild programs across the country and in, I think, 15 other countries outside the United States. And what every YouthBuild program has at its core is that we are working with young people who are ages 16 to 24 that are disconnected from education and employment. And we have two career pathways. Every YouthBuild program across the country and across the world has their primary career pathway in construction and construction trades. And one of the requirements under our U.S. Department of Labor grant for YouthBuild is that we do an affordable housing completion every grant cycle. So what we're doing is we're teaching young people basic pre-apprenticeship construction trades so that they learn in a workshop environment, starting with a small-scale construction project and then going on to a housing site and building affordable housing for low-income families. So we're really proud of that, and it's a really big part of how we help the growth journey for the young people in our program.
And the people who are in your program, how do they come to you?
Yeah, so the young people in our program, the 16 to 24-year-olds who are disconnected, typically are either dropping out of high school, or maybe a social worker at high school is identifying that they don't have enough credits, that they're not going to graduate on time. Some are getting referred to us from the justice system. A lot of our members come to us word of mouth. So alumni who came through the program and have had great success, they tell their friends, they tell their neighbors, they tell their family members. We've had multiple generations come through this program. We've had 4 siblings in the same family graduate from our program. So a lot of it is word of mouth, but we do work with the faith-based community, the justice community, and the education system as well.
So you're giving people a second chance in the path because they didn't know where they're going at that point.
A lot of our young people come to us, they don't have their high school credentials, so we help them finish either their GED or their high school diploma through a Penn Foster program. So that is the main thing that we're trying to do, is make sure that they have their basic education and their workforce training program, gaining some skills, gaining some credentials, and building a resume so that they're ready to go out into the world of work and find livable wages and sustainable employment.
Yeah, it's great. And, just walking through here, when you first walk in, you've got your space where you have training for the GED, you have computer labs, and then you have the different workforce training where you go, where people are learning how to work on wood. And then you go from there and you're working on other trades and you're learning how to install solar panels. And then you have rooms where you have mock-ups for electrical, plumbing, and drywall. I mean, it really gives you a full perspective that is not your traditional type of educational world.
And what we've learned too is that our young people are coming to us out of maybe a public high school environment where there were 33 students per classroom. And we try to meet people where they are. We try to change up the day during the program so that there's some classroom learning and then there's some hands-on practical experience. And we've seen that our young people really like that hands-on experience because it's really empowering for them to see the fruit of their labor, right? You take, 5 or 6 pieces of wood, you trim them down, you put them together, all of a sudden you've built something and you've got a nice little birdhouse to take home with you. So it's really awesome to see that light bulb go on and see them say, yeah, I can do this. And that's really what we're all about, is empowering youth.
And, tell us a little bit about your background. Why is it important for you to be here working at this organization and leading it?
I'm a Waukegan girl, so I'm back in my own backyard, literally about 7 blocks where I'm sitting, where I grew up. My dad was a general contractor. My brother is retired from the Carpenters Union. So building is in my blood. I grew up in this neighborhood, and it really means a lot to me to be able to come back to Waukegan and give back to the community that raised me. And I get to see this amazing transformation in these young people who have struggled because people haven't given them the opportunities to make a new start, a fresh start, or finding a place where they feel safe and supported.
Yeah. And your background working, or your father, your brother being in the trades over the years, you've also worked for Waukegan in the past, and you've seen everything and the history of it, and even seeing how different things have changed over the years in Lake County. I mean, from your perspective, how does this organization fit into that?
I did work at the city of Waukegan for many years in economic development, also worked for Lake County Partners in economic development. Really watching Waukegan come from its heyday, where there was a lot of employment here in this eastern lakeshore community. A lot of it was manufacturing on the lakefront. And then watching those businesses leave the community and go out west. And then the community changed dramatically. The jobs weren't here anymore. So people had to travel for work, or they had to move to get closer to their jobs. Working in this area, I can see that there's a lot of need. There's a lot of young people who are kind of maybe just drifting and lost. And we believe that every young adult has an opportunity for a pathway to succeed. So we run our program both, with an education and pre-apprenticeship skills training, but we also teach life skills. So life skills, things like conflict resolution, communication, workforce readiness skills, how to write a resume, how to do job interviews and apply for jobs. So it's really about building support services to support the whole person.
Sure.
And being able to do that in a community that really will thrive if we keep these young people in our community and working in our community.
Recently, I read a book. It's called Your City is Sick by Jeff Siegler. And he's an urban planner and goes through different communities and tries to help them improve. And one of the things he talks about is that cities in many ways are trying to get back to their quote unquote heydays of the 50s and 60s, when you had big manufacturers near the community and people who were in the past either owning their own shops, small trades, or working on the farm, went to work for the factories because the factories had good pay and you didn't need high skill.
Mm-hmm.
So then once these factories moved out or the transportation networks changed, these communities were left holding the bag, trying to figure out what to do.
And technology changed too.
Technology changed, everything changed. And I think Waukegan is like a perfect example of what we're talking about here. And a lot of these communities over the years, and I'm not going to put your words into your mouth, but try to do big economic development projects to get these large different employers back into the area. And then sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. People who live in the community, if you focus on them and trying to get people to reinvest within the people who are there and forget about the big outside savior that's going to come, that's where you get community to thrive.
That's right.
And I think that's what you're doing here.
Having worked in economic development, having worked for the city of Waukegan back in the days when riverboat gaming was the name of the game, getting a riverboat license. There is no silver bullet for any community to solve all the problems or to take it from where they are now to full prosperity or go back to their heyday. It's a multiple tiered approach. It's working on services within the community, creating smaller neighborhoods and support services in those communities. It's having strong education, strong health care available, retail, right? So that people want to live in a thriving community where they know their neighbors and they want to improve their neighborhood. And that's what YCC is doing here. We're on the northeast portion of Waukegan. We're in a former commercial electrical warehouse, right?
Right. This is a perfect example of what.
And we're in this little residential neighborhood, fairly quiet, but this building sat vacant for many years. And so we decided to bring this program here and we're bringing young people into this program, we are investing quite a bit into the community and into this neighborhood. We just put a brand new roof on our building. We have community garden beds, 21 of them around our building for community gardens that neighbors can take produce and pick. We're going to be converting to clean energy with solar on our own roof here. We're putting in a permeable paver parking lot in the spring so that we're helping reduce some of the stormwater issues and reducing the heat dome in the neighborhood. So when you start to show an example for people in the neighborhood that you're investing and that this matters, and they can see the changes around your building or the people coming in and out of the building, they can start to see that hope for the changes in the future. This entire corridor, I have seen change in the 6 years that I've worked in this program. A lot of the small business investors have just really made a lot of improvements to their businesses, and that's what it takes. I kind of say it feels like Sesame Street because we know the guy, the shopkeeper on the corner, and they know who lives, down the street. Two older gentlemen that sit out when the weather's nice, and I call them our neighborhood watch. I mean, it all becomes part of a community because they know the people who are coming and going, and everybody greets each other, and it just feels like a place where you belong. And I think that's what we need to do on a larger scale and on a more layered scale in a community as big as Waukegan.
And you start here, you start within. And the organization started in 1972.
1974.
Oh, 1974. Okay. And started more so on the ecology side of things, right? But what you do now is really within the whole person. And you told me how you had built new bathrooms with showers because some people come here who are housing insecure, or you have built a laundromat so people can wash their clothes. You have social workers here on staff. There's not one reason why somebody drops out of school.
I look at it as our job is to reduce as many barriers for young people as possible. So if transportation is a barrier, we try to make sure that they have a bus card or a gas card, or maybe an Uber to get to the program. Like you said, if they aren't able to do laundry at home, they can bring their clothes here and do laundry here. We have a food pantry. We partner with some local businesses, and every week, a couple times a week, we get new shelf-stable and refrigerated and frozen products so that members can come in, have breakfast, lunch, take things home for dinner, or take things home for their family.
Yeah.
The community gardens, they harvest in the summer. They can take fresh produce home. We're teaching them about nutrition and how to cook things with the things that they've grown. So it really is about growing the whole person and supporting the whole person. We don't want to see someone drop out of the program because I couldn't wash my clothes and put my uniform on today.
Right. And what do the families say when they see what the progress that some of their children or siblings are making?
The parents are just overwrought with joy. They are so proud of what their young people have done. We just completed an affordable housing project in Zion and had an open house back in January. And several of our construction members in the construction career pathway invited their families to come out and see the house that they built.
That's awesome.
So the amount of pride that the individuals that went through the program have is enormous, enough that they bring their families in, and the families were just super proud. Everybody was taking pictures of them with their students. Another source of pride is in the spring in May we do a celebration of achievements for our members, so it's kind of our graduation.
Sure.
And these young people walk down the aisle in a cap and gown, and we have a huge celebration for all the certifications and credentials they've earned in the program. I've never seen more proud parents, and it's just a wonderful joy. And it's awesome to see the transformation, just even in the physical body language from a young person when they come in the first day, kind of insecure, not making eye contact. The hood is up. We don't allow that in the program. Teaching them things that they're earning these credentials and earning their pride, and they can see a future, and we're helping guide them toward their goals. It's amazing from the first day to the day that they finish the program to see that transformation.
It's got to be. Especially, they probably had a lot of frustrations in order to get to the program in the first place. So that is tremendous.
Well, and I want to touch on one other thing because you didn't get to meet him today on our tour, but one of my colleagues, he's our construction supervisor. His name is Jimmy. Jimmy came into the program here at YCC, the YouthBuild program, in 2010. At that time, he was heavily involved with the gang system. He had been shot, he had been stabbed, he was using drugs and alcohol. He really didn't see a future for himself. And someone told him, you need to get over to YCC and get into the program. And so he did. When Neil handed me that hammer, it changed my life because I knew somebody believed in me. I knew that somebody saw a leader in me. And from that moment on, he believed in himself and he has transformed his entire life. He's a father of 2 teenage kids. He's a homeowner. He's a staff member, and he now gets to mentor and teach this very young people like he was when he first came into the program.
Yeah, that you could succeed even if you're coming from that kind of challenge.
You have to have the mindset that you want to grow and change, and that's what this program is all about.
Do a lot of people who are alumni come back and teach?
Yeah, so 25% of our staff are actually alumni that are now staff members. That our IT instructor, James, is a graduate of our program. Ryan graduated from our program. He's a construction assistant with our construction foreman who just helped complete the house. We have Ray. She just graduated our program back in May and joined our construction crew as well. Jimmy is one of our alumni. So it's really awesome to see the people who come through the program really thrive, and then they want to be here as a participant in our staff.
They want to give back.
They want to give back. They want to see the next themselves come through and see that transformation for someone else.
Yeah. And I think that when you look also now at like what are jobs going to be, you look at artificial intelligence. I've got 2 teenagers. I don't know how to guide them in what type of work they're going to do in their future, because so many of these jobs that were considered the high-end jobs, the white-collar jobs, may be completely transformed even in the next year or 2. So now like the big high-end job is being in the trades.
Absolutely.
Being a plumber, being an electrician. I mean, who knows? But it's well-paying and it's something that you can do physically. So do you view yourself here running this organization as guiding the next generation? Like, how do you see like the path that these people have? Do they go on to apprenticeships?
I think we're about to see a huge revolution from the old traditional, when I was growing up, the white collar versus blue collar jobs and the kind of the attitudes of people who are, oh, you're in the trades, that's a grubby, dirty job. You don't make that much money, to, like you said, plumbers and electricians are the new millionaires, right? And how many white collar jobs are going to be around in the future? So I think we're about to see some interesting shifts. Those that are getting into the construction trades are doing extremely well. We see a lot of young people who come through the program that you were mentioning, the learning labs with the plumbing and the electrical and the drywall. When they start getting hands-on and seeing what goes on with that, you see a light bulb go on and they say, I really want to pursue this. We have a young man in the program right now who says, I want to have my own drywall business someday. Well, he's working in a paid internship right now, working for a company that does housing flips and rental properties. So he's learning hands-on from other employers what it takes to show up, how to get to the job, lots of things that he got the basics while he was at YCC, but now he's even learning more. So we're really encouraging our young people to look at those trades because that is going to be the future. Registered apprenticeship is a really high priority for us to get our young people into, when they finish the YouthBuild program, which is a pre-apprenticeship program, go into a registered apprenticeship with an employer or with the union trades.
And I also, while they're here, they're getting paid, right?
So
Sure.
to get into the program, if you're referred to the program, you fill out an application online on our website. The second step is you're invited in for an interview, and you can come in and interview. And there's a lot of very direct questions that are asked about where you are, what challenges you're facing, what are your goals, what do you want to accomplish, why are you interested in coming into the program? And then you might get invited into what we call our mental toughness phase of the program.
Oh, what's that?
Mental toughness is a 2-week kind of tryout period. So it's to see if you're a good fit for the program and if the program's a good fit for you. So, are you showing up? Are you showing up with effort? Are you learning along the way? Are you opening up? Are you sharing? Are you willing to make progress, right? Are you willing to be part of a team and learn some team building skills? So after that 2-week period, we go back and the program team who works closely with those members in the mental toughness phase decide if that individual is going to be accepted into the program. Once they're accepted into the program, they're enrolled and they become a member. So we refer to them as members because traditionally when there is AmeriCorps funding, they're a member of AmeriCorps. So they're earning community service hours and they're earning an education award, but they're also earning a stipend every week. So just showing up, attendance, they get a stipend for their attendance. They get incentives for increasing their reading and math scores and their, if they have level gains in their education pursuit. Once they get their high school diploma or GED, they get another incentive. Once they're finished with the program and employed, they get an incentive for showing us their proof of employment, uploading their check stubs to the website so that we can prove that they're employed. It's a great opportunity because they're earning while they're learning.
Yeah, that's a little different than taking a massive student loan out.
That's true.
Yeah.
And we want to help them at every step of the way. So if they say, I'd like to go into, let's say they want to take classes at the College of Lake County and study HVAC. Well, let's work with our area providers. Let's see if CLC has some scholarships. Let's see if Lake County Workforce Development has any funding for that program so that we can underwrite those costs and take that barrier away for the young people.
Yeah. You mentioned about AmeriCorps and loss of funding. What's going on there?
In 2025, YCC actually lost 2 large grants. One of them was through the U.S. Forestry Service. We had just started a very successful urban and community forestry program, which we were calling a graduate program. So if you have a high school diploma, maybe you came through our YouthBuild program, or maybe you finished a traditional high school, you could go into the urban and community forestry. It's a hands-on program teaching kind of conservation and work out in the environment, which we're going to need a lot of trained folks to do land management in this community. So we lost about $328,000 from that grant. We lost another $100,000 from our AmeriCorps grant through YouthBuild Global. We're hopeful that those funds will be back next year from AmeriCorps because we love the AmeriCorps model. We love the community service aspect of the program. And we still uphold a community service model here, even though there isn't AmeriCorps funding currently.
Do you also get private funding?
Yeah, so about 73% of our funding currently is through government grants, but we're looking to really grow our private foundations, corporate founders, as well as individuals. So that's a big focus for us as a part of our strategic plan going forward.
And you also said that you're going to need a lot of people working out with forestry management. Why is that growing a lot in Lake County?
Lake County Forest Preserves is a great partner of ours for many, many years. Summer program started in 1974 was with the Forest Preserve. They have a ton of properties that they have to maintain. And the summer program crews actually do a lot of that work. We're moving buckthorn. We're kind of the buckthorn capital of the world here in Lake
really?
County. So, but if you know anything about buckthorn, the minute you take it away, 3 weeks later, it's growing back again. So there's a lot of ongoing land management and maintenance that needs to be done. And the Forest Preserve needs to hire more strike crews, quite frankly, to be out there to stay on top of it and manage it. Plus, they're acquiring some of the additional acreage in Lake County for more Forest Preserve and open spaces. So they're going to need a trained workforce to be able to provide the forestry projects as well as the land management. So we want to be the workforce training provider for urban and community forestry in Lake County, alongside of our YouthBuild program with the building trades.
And one of the things I want to talk about with you, where we started this conversation, was about housing. And you are currently finishing a house that's being built in Zion.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So is that ground up construction or renovation? What's going on there?
So the city of Zion in 2017 donated 3 properties to YCC, which means they come off the tax rolls, right? So they're sitting vacant, but they were project houses for us. One of them was a 2-unit that was deconverted into a single family home. The second project that we did and sold to a low-income family that qualified. The second project was an existing house that was torn down and rebuilt from the ground up. And then this third project was also a demolition, and we built from the ground up this property. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, attached garage, really lovely location. It'll be going on the market this week. It'll be for a qualified low-income family to purchase. So the way that works is we partner with the Community Partnership for Affordable Housing in Lake County, SEPA. The real estate agent who has a interested buyer sends the interested buyer to SEPA to see if they qualify as low income. And if they do and they get a contract accepted, they go through some home buyer classes with SEPA. SEPA also has a first-time home buyer down payment assistance program, which is awesome. And they will also help the home buyer get connected to resources like if they don't know where to go for a mortgage or insurance or things like that. They help them throughout that process.
So they could really make it. I mean, I know you're not sure exactly what the price is going to be, but you're thinking it's somewhere in the 200s, right?
Probably low to mid 200s.
Does the house have a basement too?
It does. It's a full basement with 2 full egress windows down there. I mean, it's pretty big.
Wow.
We put in roughed in plumbing down in the basement, so another bathroom could be added.
And sometimes you think building a basement can add a lot more cost, but here you guys were able to do it efficiently, build a basement for an affordable house.
Yes, exactly.
I think that's, just a testament to what is needed here. I mean, doing 3 houses in 3 years is just a tiny sliver of what's needed in Lake County for housing. But when you're doing this house, you're training the people who are learning how to do it. Your members, are they doing all the trades, or do you have also they're working with professionals like for electrical, plumbing, things like that?
Yeah, the MEP stuff, the electrical, plumbing, HVAC, they are not working hands-on, but they are observing when those subcontractors come on the site. So even when the excavation was done, they're watching what the excavator is doing because maybe they want to go into a heavy equipment operators type of job. The foundation was poured with the cement truck on site. So they got to see how the forms were put in and how that was all poured, which is pretty amazing because that in and of itself is a transformation. But I love the analogy of the foundation going in first and then the house being built, because that's really what we're doing with our youth, right? Is they're seeing something, they're getting in at a foundational level. And as they go through the 6 to 9 month program, they're learning so much and they're just really building themselves up.
Yeah, they're stacking it and tying it all together.
Exactly.
Yeah. There is such a need for housing. And I think that one of the problems of why housing has become so expensive is that there aren't enough people in the trades, which is kind of what we've been talking about. And, I think that as we have more people who know what to do, that could potentially bring the cost down a little bit more because you have more skilled labor. I think that also, like, smaller scale projects allow for local developers to come and build and be able to hire local workforces.
Exactly.
When you have some of these larger developments where you're building big apartment buildings, which are these 5+1s, which is what you basically see being built around the country because it works for financing, you may have to bring in people from around the country to be able to work on it. And then you're not employing the local labor and your costs are going up. So it doesn't work as well. But here we're giving the capacity. And I know yesterday the governor, Governor Pritzker, had his State of the State address, and he talked about this whole program for housing to be able to make it easier for communities to upzone where I'm sure it's going to be highly controversial in many communities of how that's all going to work out. But it really ties into the housing plans and everything that Lake County is doing and CMAP and what you're doing.
It will be interesting to see how that rolls out, especially here in Lake County. I really applaud the Housing Lake Coalition that came together to put that study together for the summit, because Lake County is a very diverse county. If you took this county and divided it into 4 quadrants, it looks very different in the far northeast quadrant where you and I are sitting right now, much higher housing density in this part than the southwest part of Lake County. So It'll be very interesting to see how these kind of higher density and zoning discussions happen within the municipalities. But that's one of the things that the summit really was trying to address is across communities. Because to your point, we've got to look at the whole region. We want to make sure that we have good schools, which means we need to have good educators in those schools. Educators aren't paid very high wages. How can they afford to live in a high-income school district? Some of them are driving 2 hours to and from their job every day because there's no affordable housing for them, or workforce housing, I guess I'll call it.
Yeah,
that if you're in the workforce as a nurse or a teacher, you can't be close to your job. So that just, the equity of that, I think I really applaud to see that more of that is being thought out.
Yeah, and also being able to have different types of financing options to be able to build these projects, because the project that you're building, I mean, it would not be profitable, or
For a private investor would be like,
the numbers don't work. It doesn't pencil. So you need some of these programs in order to be able to subsidize the construction of it.
absolutely.
And I fully applaud building new construction, because just in my line of work, helping people buy and sell homes, a lot of times these houses are 50, 60, 70 years old. And sure, somebody might
Just don't tear a wall down.
So, and it's like, you do what you have to do if like that's what you can afford, but it's not a 2026 MEP system where you have safer electrical, better plumbing, copper plumbing, whatever it may be. You just don't find that, and you can't build it that way.
And even higher energy ratings on some of the things that go into the house.
Insulation,
right,
period.
Exactly. Windows, right?
There's so much that I think is going to be changing. And there are these big philosophical conversations about AI and how that may create just enormous wealth, and what are people going to do. But maybe if it actually does come to fruition, there's ways to kind of work around the money to be able to help provide the housing and do things and create these jobs where people can work and build what we need and rebuild what we currently have to be at the current standards of giving people basic life, health, safety.
Right. A lot of these tradespeople are retiring.
Oh,
They're aging. They're
absolutely.
aging out of the workforce. So what are we going to do? There's not going to be people here with those skills and all of those years of experience. I don't know one tradesperson who hasn't learned something new on every single project they've worked on. There's such a wealth of knowledge to be transferred to this next generation. So we're really great to see a semi-retired plumber that comes in and does instruction for us, a young man who graduated our program who's in his electrical apprenticeship come in and teach. So we need that knowledge transfer from the folks that are leaving the trades and willing to come in and help encourage and teach and train this new generation who's interested in going into those jobs that are going to be, quite frankly, very needed jobs in the future.
Yeah. And I think the conversation definitely is changing, where like we started off, and even like where I live in Evanston High School, like there's so much focus on the trades. Like, sure, you can do all the high level classes and be able to go to, very high elite schools, colleges afterwards. But there's a whole nother track. If you want to learn how to fix cars, how to build, how to, be in a metal shop, like they have those types of things. And I think that a lot of high schools around the country are thinking about that, how to train people for these other.
Yeah. And I mean, let's face it, not everybody is a classroom learner.
No.
Everyone's got a different learning style. And I think what we've seen is the young people coming through this program really get to use their hands. They're learning the theory in class, and then they're going into a lab or a workshop and being able to practice that with their hands. And then they actually get to see what they've created themselves. So I think hands-on learning for a lot of these young people is really the way to go.
I agree. Where do you see Lake County in, say, 10 years from now with these plans, with what you're doing, with the way trends are?
I'm very interested to see what types of creative product comes out of this, because I know that there's been a lot of discussion around, and some people are more passionate than others about like tiny homes or container home communities. Workforce communities is what I'm hearing the term being called. So people who are in the workforce can afford to live in their community where they work, and just see what some of those housing solutions are going to look like. And we'd love to partner with some of those developments if they are, qualified as low income or for veterans. We're all about giving back to the community and providing a community service. So we'd love to get involved in projects like that.
And I think projects for seniors also specifically
Absolutely.
are a huge need.
We're not getting any younger.
No, and just being able to have ranches or condos or things like that where people
The accessibility.
more accessible. It is so needed.
Absolutely. It's really important. We're an aging demographic, right? So we have a high need for those kinds of housing projects right now.
I think that the sky's the limit for what you're doing and the members who graduate from your program.
It's a pleasure to do this work in the very community where I was raised.
Yeah. If people want to learn more, get involved, donate, where do they want to go to?
Yeah. So our website is youthconservationcorps.org. And all of the information is there. We've got some events coming up as well. I'm going to give a little shout out for our spring fundraiser at the Genesee Theater. It's a live musical event. This will be our 5th year, I believe, and it's called Waukegan. And it's a very Waukegan-centered event where we have a couple of entertainers, Ivy Ford, who's a blues guitarist, very well-known in the area and actually around the world, is opening up. And then we've got a big headliner band with like a 14-piece band. The Nick Barnum Band will be our headliner. So it's going to be a great event. We'll be serving Quonset pizza as our Waukegan favorite. April 2nd at the Genesee Theater for Waukegan.
Okay. Well, and all the information's on your website for that.
Youth Conservation Corps, corps.org.
Jennifer, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it. I've learned so much.
Thanks so much, Aaron. Pleasure.
Thank you.